The courtroom cameras captured a moment that no one in that room would ever forget. It started like any ordinary case, but within minutes, it transformed into a shocking exposure that would later spread across the internet and leave millions stunned. A woman stepped into the courtroom, moving carefully, almost too carefully. Dark sunglasses covered her eyes, and a spotless white cane guided her steps. She stumbled slightly as she walked, reaching out with exaggerated caution, portraying someone navigating a world she claimed had gone completely dark. But there was one problem. Everything about her had already raised questions, because this wasn't just a hearing. It was a test, and before it ended, her entire story would fall apart in front of everyone. For months, she had been living a carefully constructed lie. She claimed she had suddenly lost her vision due to a rare medical condition. With that claim, she began collecting disability benefits, gaining sympathy, and even filing legal complaints against people who questioned her. Her latest claim was against a small business owner, let's call her Lisa Grant, who ran a modest financial consulting office. Lisa had hired her as an assistant several months earlier, and at first, everything seemed normal. Then one day, everything changed. The employee announced she was losing her eyesight. Lisa responded with concern and offered support. She adjusted work expectations, tried to accommodate her situation, and gave her time to adapt. But soon, things didn't add up. Colleagues began noticing strange behavior. The woman who claimed she couldn't see was spotted walking confidently in the parking lot. At times, she appeared to read messages on her phone without difficulty. Security footage showed her moving through the office when she thought no one was watching. Lisa grew suspicious. When she finally confronted her, instead of explaining, the employee became defensive, and shortly after, filed a lawsuit claiming discrimination. Now both of them stood in court. The plaintiff began telling her story. Her voice carried emotion as she described how her life had changed overnight. She spoke about darkness, fear, and the struggle of adjusting to a world without sight. Every word sounded rehearsed, every pause carefully placed. To some, it was convincing, but not to the judge. Years of experience had sharpened her instincts. Something about the story didn't sit right. When Lisa presented her side, detailing the inconsistencies, the footage, and witness observations, the plaintiff quickly dismissed everything. She insisted people misunderstood her condition. She framed herself as a victim of judgment and bias. But the tension in the room was growing. The judge then turned to the medical documents submitted as proof. That's when the first major crack appeared. The doctor listed in the paperwork was no longer practicing. The signature didn't match verified records. The documents themselves raised serious doubts. The plaintiff hesitated, attempting to explain. But her confidence had begun to slip. Still, she didn't back down, so the judge decided to test something simpler. She asked the woman to demonstrate how she used her cane to move around unfamiliar spaces. The woman stood and began to walk, tapping the cane in wide, awkward motions. It didn't resemble the precise technique typically used by someone trained to navigate without sight. People in the courtroom began to notice. Then came another layer. Images surfaced, recent ones, showing her participating in activities that required clear vision. Her explanations became rushed, inconsistent, and increasingly desperate. The situation was unraveling. But the judge wasn't finished yet. She called for one final demonstration. Moments later, a trained service dog entered the courtroom, calm, focused, and highly disciplined. The dog was placed directly in the woman's path. The instruction was simple: walk forward. The woman began moving, and without hesitation. She adjusted her direction. She avoided the dog completely. No contact, no pause, no use of the cane to detect it. Just a smooth, natural adjustment. The courtroom fell into a tense silence, because now something was clear. But the judge needed certainty. Something undeniable. She asked for a small object. A bright tennis ball was brought into the room. The woman stood still, gripping her cane, unaware of what was about to happen. Without warning, the judge tossed the ball toward her. In an instant, the woman reacted. Her hands moved quickly, her body aligned with the motion, and she caught it. Perfectly. The reaction was immediate. Gasps filled the room. Heads turned. The tension snapped, because in that single moment, the truth had revealed itself. No one needed further explanation. The woman stood frozen, the ball still in her hands, as the reality of what she had done sank in. Her act was over. The judge spoke calmly, but firmly. Someone without sight does not track and catch a moving object. That kind of reaction requires coordination that depends on vision. The explanation attempts that followed were weak. Reflexes, instinct. But none of them could undo what everyone had just witnessed. Slowly, the performance collapsed. She removed her sunglasses, her composure gone. This time, the emotion wasn't controlled. It was real. She tried to explain her situation. Financial pressure. Poor decisions. A moment of desperation. But the damage was already done. The judge outlined the pattern. False claims, misleading documentation, and attempts to gain financially through deception. The decision came quickly. The case was dismissed. Lisa Grant was cleared of all allegations. And the matter didn't end there. Authorities would be notified. The consequences would extend far beyond that courtroom. What happened next reached far beyond those walls. The footage spread rapidly. Viewers watched the exact moment the deception fell apart. The instant the ball was caught. For many, it became more than just a courtroom clip. It became a reminder. That deception, no matter how carefully planned, carries risk. That truth doesn't always reveal itself slowly. Sometimes, it appears in a single moment, a single reaction, a single mistake, and when it does, there's no going back.